so we invited the person who directly responsible for handling the implementation of our partners TeamMate and their component. This component has already enabled several of our customers to start selling services via MS Teams. So our next presenter is Tiffany from a software developer architect team from TeamMate Technology. Eric, you're welcome on stage. Hey.
Great to be here. Slava Ukraine.
Hey, Eric.
It's just Klaus, Eric.
So as we did before with Owen, you'll see me again. This is two more, so you'll see me two more times. So Eric, thanks for joining us to talk a little bit about Teams and how you help our customers on their journey to maybe not compete with Microsoft, but to maybe jump on and leverage sort of this trend in work from home. So this is really where what we've seen over the last 2 years, obviously with the rise of Zoom and Teams and all these tools, is that we encourage our customers whenever they ask us to say, look, don't look at it as necessarily as a competition. Of course, it's a change in marketplace, but try to find ways to leverage and try to find ways to use it as a vast solution, sell to the folks that use Teams and Zoom. So I wanted to introduce Eric, also from my end. They're one of our partners for direct routing integration, so basically connecting Teams with PortaSwitch. So maybe Eric, first question to you: can you tell us a little bit more about TeamMate technology, your success, and what do you allow CSPs to do with your platform?
Well, yeah, it's been an interesting journey. We got into the market. I think we were sort of in production starting about 2 years ago. And it's been pretty aggressive growth in the area of linking phone systems to Teams. Microsoft Teams has really turned into the 800-pound gorilla in the business collaboration space. Along with things like Slack and stuff. But Microsoft has got a huge market share, so we've been sort of very single-minded about attacking that space, and we've built out some capabilities that allow us to do both PBX hosted user integration as well as trunking. And we automate a lot of that, so in fact, almost all of it, so that the customers really don't have to get into the details of things like PowerShell and understanding the really complicated areas inside Microsoft that make this stuff difficult. And we're also introducing an SMS capability as well, which some people are now starting to take up and integrate into their workflow as well. So it's been great, and it's been great working with PortaOne to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much. So when we kind of look at this Teams direct routing in your view, are there any sort of pitfalls that maybe CSPs, communication service providers, should try to avoid, or what have you seen has worked well in Teams enabling customers' phone systems?
Well, there are a number of things that can make things a bit more complicated. There are a few customers out there, particularly larger ones, who may have had a prior, experiment with Skype for Business, and particularly Skype for Business on-prem. That can be challenging because the installation of that stuff, even if it was several years ago, can leave junk around inside the Active Directory settings for some users. But more generally, the kinds of things that we see are, mostly confusion that Microsoft is creating around some of these capabilities. They recently changed all the license names for the kinds of things that you need to integrate to build on your users. So now things are called Teams Phone Standard, but you can't find the Teams Phone Standard license very easily if you go looking, you'll find the more expensive one that is basically the full Teams integrated phone system feature thing, and that is it's overkill for what we do, and you don't need that. They make it very challenging to sort of figure out what the right thing is to do. So it's great when our partners get involved and they're able to guide customers better about what features and functions they actually need to buy.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of how we also see our role. Thanks for that overview, because I think those are a lot of the conversations that we see and that we hear from customers. They obviously see Teams, but they see it oftentimes as a threat, and they're not quite sure yet how to respond or what to do about it. And then once the decision's been made to Teams enable PortaSwitch and their business phone systems, then the question becomes well, what do I actually need to do? What licenses? So there's definitely a lot of confusion around it. So I would encourage everyone in the audience that has been sort of looking at Teams, use PortaOne's expertise, use TeamMate Technologies expertise, and try to answer maybe some of those questions that you have, and see whether it's something that can work for you. Eric, maybe another question. Which way do you think, obviously Teams is not going away, but do you want to venture a guess into which way this is going to go? Or is it too difficult with Microsoft changing things around constantly?
Well, it's interesting that they have made it possible to do the kinds of things that we're doing with direct routing. The fact that they're doing that means that they are, open to the idea of integrated phone and UC communications without, buying everything from Microsoft. So they're welcoming in third parties. I mean, they in fact, they're expanding the opportunities, with Operator Connect and that sort of thing. We don't really play in that area, but it just means that they're sort of committed to a long-term capability that is not just going to disappear. They don't always make it very easy, and I think that their internal constituencies within Microsoft, which are sort of competing with one another, they've now started expanding the Azure Communication Services capabilities, which offer different kinds of integration possibilities, and we're looking at ways to use those capabilities to do different kinds of voice integration into Teams. So stay tuned for that. But we certainly don't see this going away, and in fact, every indication is that they're going to support it for the long haul.
Yeah. I think that's a good advice. Don't ignore it, but be sort of mindful about it before you jump in. Talk to us, talk to TeamMate, and explore the options. Learn more about it. I think those are the best tips and advice that maybe we want to give you on this journey, and just kind of maybe connecting to what Eric just said about the Azure communication stack. So essentially, and I think this goes to one tip that we've always said: don't look at yourself as simply a voice provider or providing voice. It's too limiting. It's too narrow almost. And oftentimes, what makes more sense is to focus on verticals, focus on value-added services. So. And this could be along those lines from what we hear now that Microsoft is looking at, making it easier to voice enable Microsoft Dynamics. So become the voice provider of choice for Dynamics customers, so Microsoft Call Center solutions. So this is sort of what we hear in the market. And even though we're not quite there yet, there's a good chance that Eric and his team, and obviously on our end from the charging perspective, we'll try to make things as easy as possible for you to maybe leverage these opportunities that might present yourself. Anything else that you want to add from your end, Eric, before we start the session?
Well, yeah, you mentioned verticals, and I think that one of the things that is challenging is to find the right entry point into this Teams direct routing market that you may have. And amongst some of the players are the larger enterprises and some of the government and institutional organizations, which may already be set up with E5 licenses, which are fully equipped to take advantage of direct routing. Yeah. So if you're talking to SMBs out there, they may not be set up immediately to take advantage of this stuff, and that may be a more difficult sales process. But for folks that are out there and have lots and lots of E5 or compatible licenses, it's a no-brainer for them to get their voice systems integrated with Teams. It's pretty low cost, and I think and it's pretty easy as well. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there that I think is untapped.
All right, fantastic. So the next logical step on that end would be, if you're interested to learn more, talk to us on the sales side, or you can also very easily sign up to Add-on Mart at no charge and try out or go for a POC, a trial of TeamMate's direct routing integration. You can be up and running and connect your Teams instances to PortaSwitch in a matter of days, and we got the team standing by to help you with that and make it hopefully as easy as possible. So thanks, Eric, for taking the time to talk to us today and to participate in our conference. Much appreciated. And thanks, everyone.
Great to be here. Great to see everybody.
Right.
Thanks.
Cheers.